question for you. It's
Sure.
a weird question. It's not like something that we didn't really talk about when we prepared this, but
Okay.
I was like thinking about what was really in when One Direction were big. And I have a question. Were fan fictions really big back in the day, or like back when 1D was like really big and whatever, like fan fiction was everything. Like they still are, I guess, but like back in the day it was like huge.
See, for 1D, I wasn't in the scene, so yes, they were big. And I think until recently, I didn't realize that it was something that transferred over the years to these new groups.
Yeah.
But no, they were pretty big. I remember there were so many different like mailing lists and fan sites and stuff that you could like sign up for, and people would do their stories or whatever, and you'd get like an email that this particular story has the next chapter up or whatever. So they were pretty big. I don't think that there were as many like communities as, because even now I've seen online there's some like archive sites and stuff, and people still write, fan fictions and
People
stuff like
still
that.
write fan fictions like to this day about the boys.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I read them, so like I know. But
Yeah, no, I think that it took a little bit of time, but I've seen now that there are some that have been built into actual little archive sites, or people are adding to it even still. But no, I remember reading some. I remember the first one I ever read too, and it was just, yeah, it was like a whole thing that it was me and like there was a group of friends that also were huge fans. So we had, a lot of times we'd get together and we'd watch videos or whatever, but that was one of the things. There was one story that we kind of all read together. It was basically a book club. It was like a fan fiction book club that I read chapter 1. Did you read chapter 1? Okay, let's talk about it. What'd you think or whatever? And I never even thought about it because I don't really think about fan fiction so much now.
yeah,
But really it was pretty big, and it was part of the community, and I don't
I still
know if
read them. Like no
you
shame
what?
in that. I still
Yeah.
read them. It's so fun. Like I love it.
Yeah. No, and I don't think I know anybody that actually wrote and put any up, or at least that they didn't cop to it. But we definitely kind of as a group would read them and talk about them, and essentially have like book club meetings about them,
Yeah.
which is, I'd never even kind of put that together. But yeah, it was pretty big.
Right.
I think it makes sense too, for especially back then,
Yeah.
or at least that age group, that demographic when they were coming up, because it's that, that constant fantasy, and that back then, that lack of access, we didn't know them beyond their persona on TV. So there was a lot of like fantasies kind of played out, which I think is still the case, but in a very different way, because we know them better now, because they've shared so much through social media. But yeah, no, they were big. Big in the online community for sure.
Yeah. Like there's like another little question tied to that one.
Yeah.
Because I was still thinking about the like 1D fever, whatever, and like Justin Bieber back in my day, or like 5 Seconds of Summer, whatever. And they're like fans that are certain or whatever that these people in the band have relationships with other people in the band.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're like convinced of it. There's like people in the 1D fandom that still think that Louis Kid is not actually his, because like they think that he's with Harry Styles, whatever. They're like still convinced about it. Was it a thing back in the day? Like, would you have like any like people saying that, I don't know, Nick and Brian were together, or like Nick and AJ or stuff like that? Was it a thing back in the day? Because I feel it's still kind of big now, and it's awkward.
I don't ever remember that. I do recall coming across some fan fiction stories that would pair some of them in
Yeah.
stories, but
Okay.
I don't remember that ever being a rumor
Mm-hmm.
that I came across. But
Like it's so weird now. It's like, or at least like back in the when 1D were together, like they were convinced, and I feel like it's just a trend of like the past maybe 10 years or something like that. That people who like enjoy a TV show or like listen to music or stuff, they always try to like pair people together. And so I was wondering if that was the case back in the day with like the boys as well.
Not
Or
that I can recall. I think it was more just their, which ones were besties, which, their
yeah,
friendships.
or,
And there were some very clear, standout friendships, I think, that people globbed onto, I feel like. And I mean, it's just because we enjoyed seeing them, enjoying each other, that they're not just a group that gets together and sings, like they actually care about each other. They're actually friends. They're actually like now, really family to one another. And so seeing that camaraderie between them and that their relationship play out, and especially because we didn't see so much of that, since most of what we saw was either on a talk show or on the stage. Those kinds of things, I think, were we really did key into those, but those were more friendships, I think.
yeah.